It all began when HOA Karen called 911 after I returned early from a trip and discovered she had cut the power to my ranch. She demanded my arrest, claiming that I had violated HOA regulations and trespassed on what she alleged to be community property. What she did not realize was that her audacious interference would immediately trigger consequences she could never have anticipated. Her reckless attempt to manipulate, intimidate, and assert authority would backfire spectacularly, leaving her exposed, humiliated, and facing serious legal and financial liability. From the moment the power was cut, every detail was meticulously documented. Security cameras captured Karen and her accomplices sneaking into the power supply area, tampering with switches, and boasting about taking control of my property. Audio recordings preserved her frantic explanations, in which she insisted she had the right to cut off my electricity because, in her words, the HOA owns everything now. Historical records of Karen's repeated harassment, trespass, and reckless interference were compiled into a comprehensive dossier. Karen assumed that fear, ignorance, or compliance would allow her actions to succeed, but she was about to discover that audacity without foresight, legal authority, or technical understanding is destined to fail. When I arrived, the situation quickly escalated into a tense standoff. Rather than reacting impulsively, I immediately assessed the sabotage and activated a pre-planned countermeasure, a secure backup generator capable of powering the entire ranch independently. Within minutes, electricity was restored to every building, irrigation system, and security network, rendering her interference completely ineffective. Karen's attempt to assert control and intimidate me had failed spectacularly, exposing her recklessness and entitlement to anyone watching. Authorities were promptly notified, and when law enforcement arrived, they quickly recognized the severity of Karen's actions. Cutting power to a private property without consent is illegal, and her audacious attempt to frame me for trespassing had escalated into criminal behavior. Officers documented the sabotage, and her repeated attempts to manipulate authority were recorded as a pattern of harassment and reckless interference. Karen's audacious behavior had instantly become legally indefensible, making her liable for criminal penalties and civil damages. Karen, refusing to accept reality, attempted to involve neighbors, HOA members, and even the media, claiming that her actions were justified. Every claim collapsed under scrutiny. Security footage, legal documentation, and eyewitness testimony provided irrefutable proof that she had no standing, no authority, and no justification for cutting off the power. Her audacious behavior, intended to coerce, manipulate, or intimidate, became permanent documentation of incompetence, recklessness, and entitlement gone catastrophically wrong. Within hours, she faced fines, public exposure, and widespread humiliation. To prevent future interference, permanent measures were implemented. Security cameras were upgraded, reinforced gates and enclosures were installed around critical electrical systems, and legal notices were posted clearly warning against tampering or harassment. Karen's ability to manipulate, intimidate, or assert authority without legal standing was permanently neutralized. Every audacious act she attempted became documented evidence of incompetence, recklessness, and entitlement gone disastrously wrong. The community quickly became aware of the incident. Karen's repeated audacious attempts to interfere, manipulate, and assert authority without legal or practical standing were publicly exposed. Observers immediately recognized the principle. Audacity without preparation, lawful authority, or strategic foresight inevitably fails when confronted with evidence, law enforcement, and decisive action. Karen had assumed fear, ignorance, or compliance would follow her actions. Instead, she discovered that reckless interference meets immediate, unavoidable, and humiliating consequences. In the days following the incident, calm returned to the ranch. Karen's audacity had been decisively neutralized, leaving her exposed, powerless, and publicly humiliated. The power remained fully operational, secure, and legally protected. Her repeated entitlement, reckless interference, and audacious behavior became a cautionary tale for the entire community. By the end of the week, the ranch was serene, secure, and fully under lawful control. Karen's audacity had been decisively defeated, leaving her exposed, powerless, and permanently shamed. Every observer understood the principle. Attempts to manipulate, intimidate, or assert authority without preparation, legal knowledge, or strategic foresight inevitably backfire. Karen had been exposed, powerless, and permanently humbled, leaving the property safe, fully protected, and entirely under rightful authority.